Hello and good day. Welcome to our video channel, God's Promises. And today's video will be Book of Exodus 14. Let's get started now. The Book of Exodus is one of the most significant books in the Bible, recounting the story of the Israelites' escape from slavery in Egypt. The 14th chapter of Exodus is a pivotal moment in this story, as it describes the parting of the Red Sea and the miraculous escape of the Israelites from the pursuing Egyptian army. In this essay, we will provide a verse-by-verse analysis of Exodus 14, exploring its deeper meanings, symbolism, and teachings, and how they can be applied to our day-to-day lives. Verse 1-2. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites to turn back and encamp near Pi-Hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea. They are to encamp by the sea, directly opposite Baal-zephon." At the beginning of Exodus 14, God instructs Moses to lead the Israelites to a specific location by the sea. This may seem like a straightforward instruction, but it carries symbolic significance. The Israelites had just been liberated from slavery, and this location was a necessary stop on their journey to the Promised Land. Similarly, in our lives, God may lead us to specific places, people, or situations that we may not understand at the time, but are essential for our growth and development. Verse 3-4. Pharaoh will think, the Israelites are wandering around the land in confusion, hemmed in by the desert. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will pursue them. But I will gain glory for myself through Pharaoh and all his army, and the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. God knew that Pharaoh would not let the Israelites go without a fight, and so he hardened Pharaoh's heart to pursue the Israelites. This may seem like a cruel act, but it was necessary for God to reveal his power and glory to the Egyptians and the Israelites. Sometimes God may allow us to go through difficult times to reveal his power and faithfulness to us and those around us. Verse 5-7. When the king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds about them and said, "What have we done? We have let the Israelites go and have lost their services." So he had his chariot made ready and took his army with him. He took 600 of the best chariots, along with all the other chariots of Egypt, with officers over all of them. Pharaoh's regret at letting the Israelites go is a reminder of the power of slavery and the difficulty of breaking free from it. The Israelites had been in slavery for so long that their freedom seemed unbelievable to Pharaoh and his officials. Similarly, in our lives we may find it hard to break free from the chains of sin, addiction, or negative thinking. But with God's help, we can overcome these obstacles and find true freedom. Verse 8-9. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh king of Egypt, so that he pursued the Israelites, who were marching out boldly. The Egyptians, all Pharaoh's horses and chariots, horsemen and troops, pursued the Israelites and overtook them as they camped by the sea near Pi-Hahiroth, opposite Baal-zephon. Pharaoh and his army pursued the Israelites and caught up with them by the sea. This was a moment of great fear and uncertainty for the Israelites, as they were trapped between the sea and the pursuing army. But God was with them, as he is with us in our times of fear and uncertainty. Verse 10-14. As Pharaoh approached, the Israelites looked up, and there were the Egyptians, marching after them. They were terrified and cried out to the Lord. They said to Moses, "Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die? What have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt? Didn't we say to you in Egypt, 'Leave us alone, let us serve the Egyptians'? It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert." Moses answered the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." The Israelites' fear and doubt in this moment is understandable, as they were facing seemingly insurmountable odds. But Moses reminds them that God is in control, and that they need only to trust in him and stand firm. This is a valuable lesson for us as well, as we may face difficult situations that seem overwhelming. But if we trust in God and stand firm in our faith, he will fight for us and bring us through to the other side. Verse 15-16. Then the Lord said to Moses, Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on. Raise your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea to divide the water so that the Israelites can go through the sea on dry ground. God commands Moses to part the Red Sea, allowing the Israelites to escape from the pursuing army. This is a powerful display of God's power and authority over nature, and a reminder that He is capable of doing the impossible. It also teaches us that God may ask us to do seemingly impossible things, but with His help, we can accomplish them. Verse 17 to 20. I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians so that they will go in after them. And I will gain glory through Pharaoh and all his army, through his chariots and his horsemen. The Egyptians will know that I am the Lord when I gain glory through Pharaoh, his chariots and his horsemen. Then the angel of God, who had been traveling in front of Israel's army, withdrew and went behind them. The pillar of cloud also moved from in front and stood behind them, coming between the armies of Egypt and Israel. Throughout the night the cloud brought darkness to the one side and light to the other side, so neither went near the other all night long. God's hardening of the Egyptians' hearts may seem harsh, but it serves a greater purpose of revealing His power and glory. The angel of God and the pillar of cloud also demonstrate God's protection and guidance of the Israelites, and a reminder that He is always with us, leading us and protecting us from harm. Verse 21 to 22. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land. The waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with a wall of water on their right and on their left. Moses obeys God's command and the Red Sea is parted, allowing the Israelites to escape on dry land. This is a powerful display of God's power and control over nature, and a reminder that nothing is too difficult for Him. Verse 23 to 25. The Egyptians pursued them, and all Pharaoh's horses and chariots and horsemen followed them into the sea. During the last watch of the night the Lord looked down from the pillar of fire and cloud at the Egyptian army and threw it into confusion. He jammed the wheels of their chariots so that they had difficulty driving. And the Egyptians said, "Let's get away from the Israelites. The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt." God continues to demonstrate His power by throwing the Egyptian army into confusion and causing their chariots to malfunction. This serves as a reminder that God is in control and that even the most powerful earthly armies are no match for Him. It also demonstrates that God is on the side of the Israelites, fighting for them against their enemies. Verse 26 to 28. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the sea so that the waters may flow back over the Egyptians and their chariots and horsemen." Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and at daybreak the sea went back to its place. The Egyptians were fleeing toward it, and the Lord swept them into the sea. The water flowed back and covered the chariots and horsemen, the entire army of Pharaoh that had followed the Israelites into the sea. Not one of them survived. In a final demonstration of His power, God causes the waters of the Red Sea to close in on the pursuing Egyptian army, destroying them completely. This serves as a reminder that God is a God of justice, and that He will not allow evil to prevail indefinitely. It also demonstrates the importance of trusting in God and following His guidance, as the Israelites did. Verse 29. But the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with a wall of water on their right and on their left. The Israelites are able to cross the Red Sea on dry land, thanks to God's miraculous intervention. This serves as a powerful reminder of God's faithfulness and His ability to do the impossible. It also demonstrates the importance of trusting in God and following His guidance, even in the most difficult and challenging of circumstances. In conclusion, the story of Exodus 14 is a powerful reminder of God's power, faithfulness, and protection of His people. It teaches us the importance of trusting in God and standing firm in our faith, even when we face seemingly insurmountable odds. It also demonstrates the importance of obedience to God's commands, and the importance of following His guidance even when it may seem difficult or impossible. Finally, it serves as a reminder that God is a God of justice, and that He will not allow evil to prevail indefinitely.